Good morning, everyone. This video is of Homosassa Springs Wildlife State Park in Florida. In this video, we are going to be taking the boat out to the state park and then riding the tram back and seeing what we see out there. Hope you enjoy. Stick around for final reflections at the end. Here we are boarding the boat. I'm going to let the captain do the talking because he has information and he has jokes.
If there's alligators in the water, stick your hand in the water, feel the water. If it's wet, there's alligators.
He's been allowed to remain in the park for the summer seconds. Who's quite special amongst hippos. He's been in a few... Up here in this part of the state, we're in the old Florida, or the real Florida. Many, long-time locals and natives in this area will tell you that we refer to everything in the southern half of the state, which includes Orlando and all points south, and we just call that whole mess down there Disney World. Also known as the piano bird. I've heard it called the piano bird before. Anybody can guess why?
This park is set up as a loop, so we're going to start the loop now. It's about 0.8 of a mile. Over there is Lou the hippo, who is the oldest known living hippo. At the time this was filmed, he was 64 years old and 364 days. His birthday would be the next day. We missed that. More of him coming up, so stick around. This is a red wolf, only a few dozen of them in the wild. This one just mostly paced around. Some great horned owls here. There's a couple of flamingos with a wood stork and some vultures making guest appearances. Two sandhill cranes, one with its head tucked under its wing trying to stay warm. There it goes, it pops it right out. There were 4 barn owls in this enclosure. They look like aliens. There was some construction taking place nearby that they were curious about. Whooping cranes. Now there is a nice story about these two lovebirds. Apparently one of these 2 cranes cannot fly. The other can. The one that can fly chooses to stay in this enclosure because of its bond with the other. Now that's a nice story. In this large enclosure are several American white pelicans and brown pelicans, along with assorted egrets and herons. Many of them have injuries sustained by vehicle accidents or fishing line entanglements, so this state park serves kind of like their retirement home. They do squabble a little bit, but otherwise they seem to live pretty good lives out here. There are a couple of flightless bald eagles out here, just enjoying the day, sitting on the ground. Here we have a red-tailed hawk sitting on its little perch. There's a paper chain that I'm sure it's going to shred for some enrichment. On the other side of the enclosure, we have a caracara walking towards this 65. This 65 is in honor of Lou the hippo, whose birthday will be coming up the next day. This is a sort of theme around the park. I'm sure that the caracara is unaware of that. Nevertheless, it is participating. Black bear pacing around its enclosure. At this park, there are 2 Florida panthers. Here we can see one sort of snoozing the day away behind that log. Bobcat. Apparently this poor bobcat was declawed by its previous owner and is now kept at the park. Despite no longer having claws, this bobcat does have an appetite. Here we see it eating some weeds. And here we are crossing one of the bridges, continuing to make our way around the loop. In that water you can see some fish and other wildlife. Of course, after crossing the bridge we had to turn right and go into the building with a big red danger sign. And this is the reptile house. You will see all manner of snakes in here. I believe the one that I'm about to go up to is a big old rattlesnake. Several other snakes in here too. Pretty cool to see a key deer, also known as a toy deer. The old man himself, Lou the hippo. As you can see, you can get right up close to this very special animal. That is an old hippo. Turning 65 tomorrow. Here is a viewing pavilion at one end of the park. As you can see out there, there's someone fishing. If you look closely, you can see a bunch of fish swimming around. If you're lucky, you might see a manatee. And here is the main spring for the Homosassa River. The water is a consistent 72 degrees or around there, and you can see a bunch of fish congregating at the mouth. Alright, now we're making our way to the tram station to catch a ride back to the main building. It's a short ride through this wooded area. And here we are getting off the tram, walking to the building. Here's the inside of the building. Okay, so that was Homosassa Springs Wildlife State Park. Final reflection is that it did feel a bit more like a zoo than a state park, and that would be explained by the fact that it did used to be a private zoo. Nevertheless, it is probably still worth visiting if you're in the area. There's some cool things, as you saw, like the hippo. You can look out and see manatees, all sorts of cool birds. It's about a 1 mile loop once you get out there. All right, hope you enjoyed.